Can you do the scat man? On the scat man. You can't. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like this could go bad real quick. I think we should bail. I think we should bail on it.
You don't know it.
Hey, listen. I want to say
go,
all I
there
would
you
like
go,
to
there you
say
go.
is I want to thank everybody that's joining us here on Patreon to discuss our shows. Seriously, honest to goodness, the only reason the show happens is because of our Patreon people. So
Which is why we like you guys best by
Yeah.
far.
and we can say that because you're the only one seeing this.
Yeah. But don't tell the other kids.
But if you're doing the rewatch later, same to you guys. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
That's
so,
super helpful.
Yeah, it's really we really appreciate it, and like Roxy said at the beginning of our other episode, I'm really excited to dive into these shows today because there's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of weird stuff, and those are my favorite things to talk about.
And also, I just want to say, if you are doing a rewatch of this, say it's 10 years from now, you're making your way through old Super TV Showdown
Making
episodes.
your way downtown.
Walking fast. You can walk on your way down to the little description because there's going to be your episode titles
Yes.
and where you can find it. And there'll be time codes because you guys asked for those. You got it. We heard you, and we are answering it, and we appreciate
Oh
it.
yeah, and I have that story for you guys that I've hyped
Yeah.
up.
Ooh, let's
way
Wait.
over.
Let's open the story.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
open
Open
the
the
story.
story?
Let's
Wait,
open the story.
re-preface it for the people just joining at this
Yeah.
point.
So basically, before we were talking about getting people's names wrong because the way that Sam introduces himself is as Sam Bashor, and someday somebody's going to interview him as Sam Bashor.
Yeah.
And it's going to be your own damn fault.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting because for Nerdist, it hasn't come out yet. It's coming out on the 8th. I interviewed Emily Bett Ricards, and beforehand, I was watching all interviews, and 50% of the people call her Emily Bett Ricards, and 50% were calling her Emily Bett Rickards, right? So I was like, okay, you kind of have to go with the most credible sources or whatnot. So I
Yeah.
was like, all right, it's got to be Emily Bett Ricards. Like that's what it is. So then her publicist came and was like, just so you know, it's Emily Bett Rickards. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I introduced her as Emily Bett Rickards, and she was like, hey, I'm so sorry to do this, but that's actually not what my name is. It's Emily Bett Ricards. And I was like, dude,
You found out later that wasn't her publicist. It was a really good small prank.
It
You're
actually
the
was
publicist.
Stephen Amell. It was actually Stephen Amell pulling a.
And I don't feel bad because there's like 15 of her. She has like 15 publicists, so you'll never know who it was. But it was
Okay.
just like, what?
Damn.
Like, this has happened to me like many times now. It's the number one job. All you publicists out
crazy.
there know how to say your client.
How does she have 15 publicists?
Because
It
there's
recycles
a show,
her own.
there's a
Oh,
show
gotcha.
publicist, and then like there's multiple shows actually that they're on, and then there's her personal publicist, and then there's the publicist that's connecting her with the company, and like there were tons of
Wow.
people. So yeah, but I just thought
But
that
you said she was real cool.
like legitimately the coolest of all time. And actually, she waited till the end of the interview to be like, "Hey, if there's any way you could redo the opening take, just because so many people have been pronouncing my name wrong, and I really want people to know it's
Nice.
Emily Bett Ricards." And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Yeah, of course."
It's what the name is.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah.
I'd be super bad at that because I'm just when everybody's like, "Oh, DJ Woolridge," sure, sure. I don't. What it doesn't matter.
You said it quick.
Yeah, I don't.
We'll
It doesn't,
we'll go
it
through
doesn't
quick.
matter. You're
How
right.
do you say it?
Wooldridge.
Isn't that what you
literally,
just said?
You literally pronounce every
Wooldridge.
letter in the name.
Wooldridge.
Say it wrong.
Woolridge.
Oh, Woolridge. It
I
sounded like
definitely
you said
say that.
Wooldridge.
Yeah, Wooldridge.
It
Yeah.
sounded like you said that.
Yeah, and so it's like I'm not. I
Woolridge.
don't. I think it's from when I was a kid. Teacher was like, "Mr. Woolridge." Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
whatever.
care. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Like some of my closest friends, Roxy Striar. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, sure. Close
That's
enough.
fine.
Well, we're gonna call it a day.
Yeah.
That does it.
That's Chrissy Teigen
Isn't-
came out and said the other day. She's like, it's Teigen.
Wait, really?
Yep.
The ones you need
Yeah.
it
Throw
for.
it all in the trash.
Yeah, the ones you need it for the most are like Saoirse Ronan,
Yeah.
because that's like
Gal
that
Gadot.
is 1000% not how your first name is spelled.
Whoever
I'm
has
just,
the
I'm just letting you know
name-
that's not how it's spelled.
Whoever has the name Siobhan,
Yes.
that's not fair. I know it's Irish. It's
Yeah.
mean.
Wait, Siobhan. How?
Siobhan.
It's S-I.
Siobhan.
It's SIOBHAN.
Yeah.
I thought Siobhan was CHEVONNE.
There
Do you
might
know
be-
anyone spelt that way?
Yeah,
I only
yeah,
know
yeah.
Those are cool people that their parents decided like, hey, I want this name, but I actually want it to be spelled like it sounds.
It's like people who are spelled Sean, SHAUN. Sean. There's
Yeah.
really no way to mess that up. You can try though.
Anyway, fun name stories aside, I always thought it was DJ Wolverine. That would be a really cool name. That would be a really cool name.
What if you legally changed it to that and
No,
then you had
here's the
kids
thing.
and you
Yeah,
the last
here's-
name were Wolverine?
Here's the thing, it
Little
means
Wolverine.
the last name actually is a combination of the Gaelic words for wolf and power. So definition-wise, it's pretty cool.
Is wolf
Wolf
and Dridge
and power.
is power?
Yeah, I guess so, something like that.
We
Yeah.
should-
So there you go.
We should do 23 and me's for the next couple episodes. You guys want to do that? Where you get our DNA read?
I would
Person-
love
My
that.
my wife really wants to do the whole
Yeah, I've
DNA
actually
thing.
been listening
Just
to
so you
podcasts
know.
that they've been sponsoring, so they should do that for us.
Fun fact: they
Yeah.
get to own your DNA when you send it in.
And that's why I am a little
Scary.
I that's why I pumped the brakes a little bit on doing the DNA test.
You know what? Let's not pump the brakes on this Legends of Tomorrow's talk.
Let's not.
Let's go full throttle.
Full force. Good lord, I did not realize how much I missed having the show
It's such a dang good
on
show.
TV. It's
Yeah. It's so good.
so good.
This episode in particular, it's episode 402, Witch Hunt.
Read it for us, Sam.
Okay, for some reason on IMDb they like to write out the full synopsis, so buckle up.
Wait, do
Okay.
it in an accent.
When the magical time seismograph, sorry, I got thrown off by that word. The time seismograph gears off, the team finds themselves headed to the Salem witch trials. Sarah notices that Zari is taking the cases personally when she promises to save a mom who is being accused of being a witch. However, the team quickly learns that there is a magical creature in the town creating problems they haven't been expecting. Meanwhile, Nate and Ava work together to keep their Time Bureau funding by proving to them that magic exists. Sorry, I got a little tired
And also
halfway
tons
through.
of Constantine stuff, which is
Tons of
Tons.
Can I just say right off the bat, and I didn't think about this until you were reading it, and it made me think back on the episode. I think I would drop off Zari back in her time
Why?
because she was always like 30 seconds away from completely
Losing
screwing
it.
up the timeline.
Hey.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't get it. I'm just saying she's a hazard.
Hey,
what she did in this episode
Wild
was
card.
real rough.
Yeah.
And I don't like actually that Sarah didn't say that.
Yeah.
That she was like, no, I'm not going to give you a hard time for it. I get it would be hypocritical, but if you are the captain,
Yeah.
you have to tell Zari, no,
Yeah.
you can't do what you just did because you legitimately almost got yourself killed,
Yeah.
got this woman killed, and you proved that there are witches.
Yeah.
Which is a really dangerous thing to
you
prove
just
in a
just
time
validated
where
all these people's wildest fears.
Right. Like the truth about this woman is that she wasn't able to choke other people out.
Yeah.
And now you've shown that you can, which means that anybody they point at now and is like, witch, people are like, remember that time, that one
Yeah,
witch?
exactly.
Like,
the one.
what the
Even-
actual F are you thinking?
It
Even
would have
the
been
mom was-
helpful here if they had that little gun that wipes people's memories. Super helpful.
Remember,
What happened to that?
They
even the
just haven't
mom,
used it yet.
even the mom was kind of like, no, I think it's probably for the best if I just stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continuity wise, it's probably good that I stay here.
If you want to maintain the timeline, I think I should stay right here.
I'm blanking on this now. If you guys could help me out, it was a novel that we had to read in school. It is
Of
about
Mice
the,
and Men.
no,
Catcher
it's a-
in the Rye.
no, hold on. It's I haven't said the story. It's about the Salem witch trials, and it's about Prudence and her mom, and it's about the
An
wi-
A, Scarlet Letter.
no,
I got
that's not
nothing-
what
I
that
got
one.
nothing for you either, honestly.
What
It's a
was that
musical
about?
as well, and there's a movie with There Will Be Blood, main guy, Phantom Thread,
Yeah.
Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
Daniel
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Day-Lewis. He
Wait.
is in this movie, and it's about the Salem witch trials.
Sure.
Hold on,
What the hell are you
Everyone-
talking
Yeah, I have
about?
no idea. And you said it's a musical?
it can be
Okay. It can't if it wants to
The
be.
It
Salem
can
Witch
be.
Trials.
the Crucible. There we go. It's the
Oh,
Crucible.
Yeah, with Scarlet, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked like Winona Ryder.
There,
I don't know if
Winona
that's-
Ryder.
I don't know if that's
Wow,
what you
the
were going for.
Crucible.
Yeah, the Crucible. Thank you,
Danny
Kayla
M.
Marie.
Gangs of New
Wow,
York.
I am
Good job.
so mad at myself right now. Can we pretend that didn't just happen?
You
Yeah,
didn't know the
sure.
Crucible?
Emily Bett Ricard.
Let's focus on
Let's just
that
go
one
back
again.
to Emily Bett Ricard.
But no, this episode was incredible. A really cool thing that IO9 did. I've mentioned it a million times off camera,
Throw up
but
the
now
godmother. Throw up the godmother.
There you go. Here, wait. There she is.
Wow.
I want to mention that I believe her
Boo.
name is Kate Cara. I'm actually not. Don't quote me on that. I'm blanking on her name right
Kate
now.
Cara sounds like a bomb superhero.
There you go. But the actress who plays the fairy godmother was actually the same voice actress who played Cosmo's mom. If you remember the Fairly Odd Parent Cosmo, he had a mom that was she was overprotective, and she was like kind of like the evil godmother to, or not a godmother, we call mother-in-law,
Yeah.
godmother-in-law, whatever. and
I don't think it's godmother-in-law. It's just,
Yeah,
just mother.
I bungled it. It's Mama Cosma. It's important to bring that up. But the characters here are basically the same minus the murder because
Yeah.
she is equally done with like magic. She's like, I am a fairy, but everyone's just selfish and I just want to take care of my baby. And that's what this is too. It's like she's selfish. She is taking care of her baby Prudence because and she has to.
Yeah.
But there's very similar stories, which is really cool.
Can we let DJ have the floor for a second? Because prior to this stream, when DJ was telling us that he like is fully for her and thinks that she's the good guy.
No, I don't
I
think
just
she's
would
the
like
good
you to
guy. I just
explain
don't. I just.
yourself.
It seemed like she was an agent of the girl's will, and while she was done with magic, like she wasn't. I don't know. She just wasn't like going around murdering people. Because did anybody? The guy got a crow in the face, but I don't know. Did he die?
Huh?
The guy that got the crow in the face. I think he just
wait,
lost
hold
an
on.
eye.
Are you actually asking
Yeah,
about?
doesn't he show up with an eye patch later?
Both eyes got poked out of that guy's head.
Yeah.
Then another guy lost an eye.
Okay.
There's one
then
fully eyeless person now.
And then remember when she had the roots hold down all of the legends?
And do you
Mm-hmm.
wait? Do you remember what happened in Salem? Was that the mom goes up in flames,
Mm-hmm.
and then everybody goes up in flames?
Yeah, that would have been really bad.
No, but that
That would've
happened. That actually did happen. They changed it, but the fairy godmother did make that happen.
Was going to make that happen had they not fixed the timeline.
But it did happen,
But it
and then they
did-
went and fixed it.
yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
bad things still happened, and then they stopped the bad thing from
She
happening.
was,
Listen,
like,
man, I don't
really
know.
evil.
Magneto was a part of a genocide, and he got to be a good guy again. So all I'm saying is maybe the fairy godmother can join the legends.
Sup with her.
If you said Magneto if we had told you Magneto went to hell, and you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
does understand what's going on with Constantine, especially at the end there when he wants to be her new host, and she's like,
Can I
"Oh,
tell
I
you
know."
what I want to be happening?
Yeah.
I want it to be Spectre. I want it to be because we got teases of the Spectre in the Constantine show, and thinking about that as a character, if I knew God's literal vengeance was coming after me, I would want as much help as I could get as well. I think that's too much. I don't think the show is going to go that far into the comic book stuff. I guess because Constantine built, I don't know. There's let me phrase it this way. There's literally no reason for me to think that that's the case. There's no evidence that it is the Spectre. It's just they set him up on the show, so
But
it
they-
could be him.
They do set it up that but when the fairy godmother goes to hell, they're like, yeah, I would rather go where I'm going than
So
be
it's got to be
in your
something really
situation.
bad. And for me, I think one of the scariest characters in DC comic. Normally he's with the good guys, but I think just on paper, one of the scariest DC Comics characters is the Spectre.
Yeah, he's super scary because he doesn't fuck with anything that's here,
Yeah.
like on the mortal plane. It's like he just does exactly what God says, and that's it.
You guys suck at not swearing. I'm the best.
This is Patreon. You're
This is
getting
Patreon.
all the F's.
Listen, we don't mind swearing on this one. It's the normal Twitch show. that
What's
we
the
don't want.
opposite of no F's given?
Every
you
F
gi-
given.
You give
We
all
give
the
you
Fs.
all the F's.
All the
Oh,
F's, my
man.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get ready for all them Fs.
All F's all the time. Echo Spider in the Discord writes, I am behind on the show, a lot of shows, but I'm always, this is always first on my queue. Totally agree. I love this
It's
show.
so easy to watch anytime, any place.
So here's the thing: Sam was brought up earlier in the week. He asked
Let me see if I can find the tweet really quick.
Yeah.
Or the text
Is this
message.
when you guys were texting back and forth and you didn't include me?
Yes.
Suck it.
Just checking.
Sorry.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
you're
Just
saying.
wanted to make sure.
I just wanted to make sure that was the case.
Don't worry. I'm going to pull this up.
Wait, I can even pull up.
No. Gross. Oh, yeah. I'll pull this up because we were texting
Oh
about.
my god, that's wild.
I know, right?
You
It's
should
crazy.
pull it up. Pull it up.
No, but this show is it's so entertaining, and it's balanced between dealing like the actual premise of this episode minus Fairy Godmother. It's actually exceptionally dark.
So
And it looks like the stuff going on with Constantine is actually pretty dark, but it's balanced between light and dark because we haven't even talked about. If you told me, oh, Nate and David team up, like, I don't care. No, it turns out it's exactly what I wanted.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good. But my text to you was, would you even consider this a DC show anymore? Not that this is a bad thing, but it doesn't even feel the same as the other shows. Its characters are mostly all original to this series and are loosely related to their comic book counterparts mainly by name alone.
Who
like
said that?
I
That
did.
was Sam.
I
and,
said.
and it was an interesting question because it's like, since it is not a straight adaptation of anything, I think this is the closest we've gotten to a pure superhero show spin-off. Like, because the show owes a lot to the other shows. All these characters showed up on the other shows.
Well,
But it's less-
Not really. I mean,
Uh,
White Canary did.
White Canary,
Ray.
Ray,
did.
especially the first
Well,
season.
Constantine didn't show up on the other shows. He had his own show.
But then he did
not
show
on
up.
CW.
He showed up on Arrow.
That's how we
to
got
bring
him.
Sarah back.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so the 3 of them.
And then
Yeah.
they banged.
And yeah, so and it was
Hawk
more.
Girl did, but then bye.
The first season was all characters that came from that. So it really is kind of like all the other shows are beholden to some sort of comic book backstory. This show just gets to do whatever the hell it wants, really.
Their rules are like there's no characters they can't use because they get to use all real people, and then any kind of fictional character, not
Yeah.
like anything specific. It's just general. It's just like fairy now, and we're gonna use that.
This show has the lightest rules of any show I think I watch, and I watch Doctor Who. Like this,
They try to follow rules there sometimes, but
this
still.
this show legitimately has almost no rules. They
Yeah.
literally can do whatever they want. Time traveling superheroes that now have magical beings in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that we got that with Nate's dad being like, "You do what now? What's happening? Like, why did you bring me a pig?"
Oh, it's
Tell me
Ray though. Ray and Mick as pigs are great, and it was like that's genuine magic. That's actually like 100% magic. It's not unicorns stealing hearts from virgins. Like this is like
Yeah.
100% magic.
If you
I still
want it,
don't like that Gary storyline.
You know
That's
what?
fair.
You know,
maybe that's why I didn't think the fairy godmother wasn't as evil, because she didn't become like a monster when she was being sucked to hell. Like the unicorn became like a monster. You know what I mean? I will say, if you want to know the amount of fuck itness to this show, he comes to the Wave Rider, Citizen Steel.
Who? Oh.
Hank comes to the Wave Rider, sees the pig, immediately assumes it's Ray. the pig starts oinking, and he's able.
Able to
Nobody else
understand, yeah.
able to understand him.
No,
brings
that's
him back
actually
under.
legit because they all took the thing that makes them understand other languages.
Good call.
But
What a
I didn't know it
good
went to
pull.
pig.
What a good pull.
Does
What
that
a way to
mean that they can
rationalize
talk
this
to
crazy.
animals?
Why don't they use that? Why didn't they use that with the
Is
unicorn?
that why Mick is such good friends with the rat?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know if any of this makes any sense. But anyway, then he takes it back on the assumption my pals will figure this out
Yeah.
soon enough for this to happen. It's like, and I don't know about you guys watching. It's like,
For sure.
But I will
Also-
say I was kind of confused, and maybe I'm a moron. But how did he turn Ray? How did he turn Ray back into when he was like shaking him? He was like, "Come on now, Ray,
Yeah.
come on!" And then Ray goes back to being Ray.
He was just waiting
No,
for
no.
them to figure it out.
No, he doesn't turn. If you watch the montage, that's out off screen because that they show the fairy godmother getting lassoed up. Magic goes away. Cut back. Ray turns back into a person.
But what was
Yeah.
he thinking he was gonna happen?
He literally says, like, I'm sure my friends will figure it out. And so he's just
okay,
waiting for them
okay.
to solve whatever the problem of the week is.
I thought he was trying to get Ray to talk to his dad.
Because he kept
also,
like shaking him.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's not helping, bro."
yeah, shake the Ray out of you. Also, Biff is now
Dad Biff.
funding. Dad Biff is now
Yeah.
funding time travel,
I
which
like
is
that.
if
What
you guys
was it,
ever
$6 billion.
Yeah, it was a crazy
$4.2
amount.
billion.
It was a crazy amount of money. It was like, I watch this show, I root for these characters, and it still feels like too much money.
What's
you
the deal
need-
now though that she can hire Nate? What do we like that? Does that mean that he's not gonna be on as much?
Here's what I like about it, is it separates two of the characters that are almost exactly like two of the other characters off onto their own little thing, and so it's
But
less
two
of
of
like,
them are hooking up, and it's still so weird.
I know, but
they
I
look so similar.
if you told me that at the beginning of the episode, I'd been like weird, but I actually like their dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that could be, and it might just be a writer's thing, like, hey, Nate, hey, I don't know what we're supposed to do with Nate.
Yeah.
Like you were doing the drugs last time, and you're kind of the guy who knows history, but also there's a computer for that.
What drugs?
Oh,
he
he's
did
the one
like
that gets high.
ayahuasca or something
Yeah.
last season.
And it's probably because he's bummed about Vixen, even though that actress is coming back in some other role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be nice and confusing. Like when Captain America dates the granddaughter of his or grandniece of the woman he loves.
Can I
it's
tell
always
you?
Weird.
Can I tell you one of the most legitimately confusing, as far as casting goes, confusing shows to watch on TV, especially if for some reason you're just coming in on season 8,
What?
American Horror Story. This season, because you've got Murder House, and you've got Coven, and you've got their new stuff. So Sarah Paulson plays like 4 different characters.
Why?
Because she's played different characters. She plays a
Is it
new
good
character
this
this
season?
season. I'm enjoying it. She plays a new character this
Not what I
season.
asked.
She also shows up as her character from season 1. She also shows up as her character from Coven. Which is the same thing she did in the hotel, because she shows up as her character from season 1, and she's a ghost on that. Like,
Which one did I stop watching after?
I don't
No.
know. I stopped. I
6
watched,
is good. 6 is good.
I watched up to 4, skipped 5, watched 6, and I gave it up.
What is this season?
This
This
season
8.
is Apocalypse, so it's
8?
season 8.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it is wild, but I'm enjoying all the callbacks and references.
I do want to make one mention. If you throw out the asset really quick
Yes.
of Constantine, I did want to say that we did get a tease in his series that he, like in the comics, he had sold his soul, and he's basically damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, like in
Yeah.
any situation. So I think that they're finally kind of maybe wrapping up that storyline by the end of the season. Like Constantine, I don't see staying around for much longer besides this season.
I love him on
I
the
love him too.
show.
He's great, but honestly, like I don't see him lasting much longer.
Oh, to be fair, but I don't even know
Honestly.
what they're going to do next season. Like, if you told me at the beginning of season 3, like, next season's going to be magic throughout history, it's like, I keep waiting for this show to tackle multiple times. Like, if they have to fix timelines of other dimensions, I feel like that's the natural progression of this show.
Well, are they? Because
I have to think about it. I mean,
Sam's
no,
Do
brain
you
just
mean,
kind of
like,
shorted
see-
out.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
different
like, I don't
Earths,
know what
like
you do.
Go to Supergirl. Okay.
yeah. I
Have they
could
done
it,
that?
Could it be way too confusing? Yes. Could it be cool? Yes, it could.
When's our crossover? December.
December, but they're not
They're
going to be a
not
part
on
of it.
it,
Yeah.
I have no idea what.
But they're
in the
doing their
world
own
you
crossover
do.
that week. Remember?
Are
They
they?
announced that they're doing their own crossover of their characters.
Wait, who?
Legends is crossing over with Legends.
What?
Such a great answer.
Yeah.
That's such a great answer
Yeah.
for what they're doing.
Let me
Can't
see
wait.
if I can find that article. It's
Okay,
kind of wild.
Well, I hope so because that would be amazing. But we'll let you know what we have a couple other shows we need to talk
Yes.
about. Let's give a quick rating for this episode of Legends
9.
of Tomorrow. 9.5.
Yeah.
Really good.
9 also.
Yeah,
I
really dug it.
More magical transformations and Mick not phased at all. Just
Yeah,
like,
and
that's
also-
the pig that's eating through everything
Yeah,
too.
Mick and Constantine not being great roommates.
Which,
Also a fun dynamic.
In my brain, I thought they should have gotten along together, but I'm like, no, of course they wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, 100% they wouldn't at all.
Because you think that like, oh, they're both kind of rapscallions. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
This is coming from Sci-Fi. Legends of Tomorrow will cross over with itself seriously during Batwoman week. This particular episode, Katie Lott says this particular episode is insane. I think they wanted to do something special since we weren't going to be in the Elseworlds crossover. You'll see a lot of different sides of the Legends.
The shows have been really on point this year, which gets me even more excited about the crossover.
Oh, yeah.
So they're
in the
going to
world
focus
are they
on
gonna
alternate
do?
time periods. And
Which is what the show is.
yeah, I don't know. They're saying they're crossing over with themselves. We'll see
Great.
what that means.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Great.
Maybe
Love it.
first
On
season
board.
version of
It's
them
like-
have to meet
Or-
current season, and you're like, what in the world are you talking about?
Maybe it's one of their own Elseworlds, so it's them from alternate dimensions and stuff.
It's like, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good when like you start a table at school and then somebody's not invited to sit at your table and they're like, fine, I'll make my own table and I'll sit with me and I'm the best me.
You know, what'd be weird. And
Lonely
they're not-
twins.
and they're not going to do this. But if you had a version, so this version of the Legends meets an alternate dimension version of them that's a different composite. So like instead of Sarah Lance, it's Laurel. It's Laurel. It's Mr. Terrific. It's Captain Cold's still a part of it, and Heatwave died instead. Like it's an
Can we get Ragman?
Let's get Ragman in there.
Fuck yeah, Ragman. Crisis on Infinite Legends. Would love it.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Anyway,
They better be in the crossover next year.
Ooh, what
God
about
dang it.
Tommy.
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 Tommy's the main character.
Wow. And Rip's
He-
still a part of it.
Yeah.
Rip's interesting. Anyways,
Yeah.
The
let's-
Hawk people.
Hawk people, please and thank
I
you.
just lost you guys.
Let's talk about. Wait, didn't she say she filmed something though? Wait, Kiara.
Wait.
Sierra Renee?
Yeah, I thought she said
If
she
they
wouldn't
do a
film
crossover
something.
with themselves, I'm fine with them showing up for that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I loved Sierra Renee. I think, first of all, like, woof, she's so hot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hawkman wasn't
I didn't have a
bad
second
looking
of
either.
all. Yeah, no, they were
and
both-
I thought both of those actors were good. I thought
Yeah,
the
really
writing
good.
for them was unfortunate.
Keanu Reeves is Constantine. Yes, please.
well, she was a big Broadway girl. Usually they can act.
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves is in John Wick. All right, and I got Keanu Reeves on the brain. Black Lightning.
Speed the show.
This
Speed, action. What? No, you couldn't. Never mind. Never
th-
mind. Run away.
This week's episode, season 2, episode 4, the Book of Consequences: chapter 4 hyphen translucent freak. And
Why don't you have a description?
because IMDb didn't put one up. They don't put it up until like 2
Wait,
days
wait, wait.
after the show
I can come
airs.
up with one. Hold
There
on.
it goes.
Little burp. So Black Lightning and Thunder are not happy with each other. Jennifer is still trying to learn how to use her powers to mixed effect. A lot of kid complaining in this episode. Wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yes, description.
Yeah, and Mama Lightning is still
Lynn.
working with evil scientist lady who is still kind
Prison
of evil.
convict.
Yeah.
Also, Tobias isn't arrested.
Is not arrested, which I don't know about you guys. That whole thing confused me.
Yeah.
I didn't know why he was picked up. I didn't know how he came to the system because he's picked up after they're like, we can't arrest him because he murdered the cop that had the evidence. And it's like, that happened before you arrested him, though. So
Yeah.
what's even happening right now?
I think they were just saying they jumped the gun.
Oh, but
and
then
they
why'd they
couldn't
jump the
think- they
gun in the
shouldn't have.
first place?
Because they
Which they
do know
didn't.
he's guilty, and they basically, yeah, this was a little bit weird. I was
Still like that actor a lot.
Thunder.
What did you guys feel about all of the kids yelling at their parents for their parents doing things that kind of make sense?
No, I kind of feel Jennifer here.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't love that her parents have decided to homeschool her without having a conversation about it. Like, I don't like that they just came in and were like, this is what we're doing. Now, granted, I grew up in a very, very, like, conversational household where everything was a conversation, and maybe that was to too extreme. But I think she would have taken it a lot better if they were like, hey, can we talk to you about this? We've been thinking about the possibility of homeschooling you. We're really nervous about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Would you like, if your dad, if I, what are you interested in? Like, just a conversation as opposed to, you can't go back to your school that you love. Bye. It was
Or-
just so kid-like the way that the parents handled it.
This was a trick my parents were pretty good at on me. Is you phrase telling your kid something as if you're asking them a question. So it's like, hey, you're spontaneously setting things on fire. You don't know how to control your powers. Also, the crazy lady I work with is looking for you, and the government's looking for you. So we were thinking maybe it would be in your best interest, since we're all in danger, if we homeschool you.
How do you feel about that? Yeah.
And be like, well,
How,
yeah,
yeah,
I guess.
you know what? Do you have any ideas
Yeah,
here?
yeah. Do you have any suggestions?
It just-
No, cool. Well, we're gonna do the homeschooling.
It just was so like they talked about it with each other, and they were like, yeah, she's not going to take this well, and then they went about it the worst way.
No.
Yeah, a conversation isn't a bad thing because this family is pretty functional all the way around, and
Yeah.
they do show a really healthy family dynamic of, yes, the children in they're not there's not air quotes, I did air
Yeah.
quotes, but no, they are the children of the family.
Yeah.
And they do act like that sometimes, but for the most part it's pretty mature the way that they're reacting. And Jennifer is reacting the way I would expect. I would like it because she isn't being talked to. What, you know how she talked to the woman who was going to help her with the emotions is that she got confronted in the park randomly and taken to psychic
Yeah, that
Right.
was
Zone.
that was a little much.
And-
And maybe I was put off by Anissa because she's like, yeah, I'm doing something I know my dad's gonna not like, and then when he tells me he doesn't like it, I get all offended by it. And it's like, but you're right. For one, you know what you're doing is wrong. Like, don't pretend like you
Yeah.
think like this is a great idea I'm having. You know what I mean?
Definitely put off by Anissa, because I do agree with whoever is flipping the bill gets some say. And if you are living in your parents' house,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
do get some say.
Mhm.
Like,
And-
and you're over 18.
Yeah.
So
How old is she? Question mark.
she was a
What-
teacher, so I have to think about at least 25.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
is she also in school too?
But that's grad school is my impression.
Ah,
So
okay,
she
okay.
is at least gone through the 4 years of college, and I feel like is doing more education.
I'm just saying, if you're over 18 and you're living in your parents' house, then they are doing you a favor.
I
I'm
was
not saying it's a
waiting-
bad thing to be doing, but they are doing you a favor
I
because
wa-
you're not legally obliged to live there.
Yeah, I wanted when she's like, fine, then I'll leave, and she leaves, and there's a close up on Jefferson's face. I wanted to be like,
Yeah.
about time you got your own place.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know the family dinners are fun, but it's gonna be so much cheaper
Yeah.
around here. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, because you know what, both my parents, they've never said this by the way, but both me and my sister have moved out, and near as I can tell, they are like way happier. Their life is like
Really?
super chill now.
You know what's so funny?
We're out, we're functional, we're doing our thing. I think it seems like they're doing great.
My dad was so stoked when my brother moved out. So stoked when I moved out, but my sister, it was like
Oh,
the
she's a
last
baby.
the
Yeah,
last one. You
yeah.
don't want them to go. So I feel like it would have been funny if Jefferson was like, yes, and
Mm-hmm.
Nissa left, but then when Jennifer went to leave, like,
Oh,
no,
you're still setting things on fire.
we can't let go.
When it comes to the homeschooling, it makes sense. For every reason.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, for the kid who literally feels like she's a monster and she accidentally hurt her mom the other day, it's like, have a conversation with her. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
and maybe in the conversation you do come to the conclusion, even if she's against it, it's like, I'm sorry, there actually isn't another, like you're saying,
Yeah.
it's like there isn't another solution here, but at least explain it. They don't explain anything to her. They're like, hey,
No.
so you're just not going to school anymore because we think you're a hazard. one, you are.
Yeah.
And also, school's not safe.
See,
No,
for
Hazard
me,
was on
exactly.
Flash.
Less, right? Less that she's a hazard. More once you see that the scientist is her scientist partner is starting to figure out that like there's
The family.
yeah,
the
it's
DNA.
like that's super scary. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because we just saw her like kill a kid just to see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was really hypocritical also though, because Anessa's so pissed that her parents aren't talking or are treating her like a kid or whatever. But then Anessa treats Jennifer like one also when she sees Khalil is texting her, and instead of being like, wow, Khalil's texting you, what's going on there? Is everything okay? Like, first of all, check on your sister to make if your sister is texting with a killer,
Yeah.
you should probably see if she's okay, as opposed to like jumping down her throat being like, that's wrong. Jennifer's like, I didn't respond yet. Guess what? You just led for her to respond, and that's now what's happened.
By the way, I don't like this whole Jennifer with Khalil subplot. It makes Jennifer look
Incredibly
super
abusive.
dumb.
It's an
Yeah.
incredibly abusive relationship, and we see that like Dreamland or whatever that place is that
Yeah.
she's where they are kicking the crap out of each other with that sexy music going on in the background, and I'm like, are they insinuating that we're supposed to be turned on by this? Because this guy
That was
and
not
this
the
girl
impression
are
I got at all.
I don't remember the
really-
music.
The
That
music
what
was
didn't
like,
stick out to me.
Oh baby,
I thought it was more romantic music because it's her and Issa going to prom or something like that. That's
no,
what
during the fight I'm talking about.
no,
when
wait,
they're
like,
kicking the crap out of each other.
does the music change? Or that's because that's the music playing, and then Khalil shows up, and then it keeps. Maybe that's what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I just didn't
any of
like.
it. Yeah.
I don't. I'm not saying the show is doing something wrong. I'm just saying that
It's weird.
if they're going to put this couple together, which I think they might end up doing, this is a very abusive relationship right now,
Yeah.
and we're going to need something to change.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't see them putting them together. I think it's more of her coming to terms with the kind of like toxic things that she needs to work out, because the boyfriend, that not only is she feeling the guilt of like, I'm kind of a little bit the reason why he was paralyzed. Like that's what he was there when he
Yeah.
he was there
She
because
definitely
of
she
her.
definitely feels that way.
She
She
can-
definitely shouldn't feel that
Yeah.
way.
But it's easier said than
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
So she feels that way, and then the way he deals with it is by becoming a literal supervillain and killing her dad. So it's
Yeah.
like there's no way she
Who
doesn't.
didn't know it was her dad?
Yeah, but
yeah.
also, how do you not hold on to that baggage a little bit?
And also, we're forgetting. Have we seen him with his shirt off? I mean,
That hair, I
Yeah.
really
Just-
like his hair. I like his little wrist
he's,
gauntlets.
he's a dreamboat.
Yeah.
Painkiller, am I right?
know.
But again, I don't think it makes. It feels a little bit, and the show's usually pretty good about avoiding it. It feels a little bit like drama for drama's sake. Like we had to get her in a position to get back with Khalil, and I don't love that. What did you
But I
guys?
do feel for the position Khalil's in now because
Yes.
he really is unable to leave.
Yeah,
He's got himself stuck.
He fucked up real bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
what
bad.
do
And
you-
we've all fucked up, not that bad, but to a point where you're like, what do I do? And there's really no good option for him right now.
What do you guys think about new principal guy?
Bolin, shout out from Cora.
Which now I want to watch that to get the taste of this guy out of my head.
Yeah.
Watch,
Okay.
just enjoy Bolin on Korra.
A very unpopular opinion, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the way he's going about it. I don't like that he's just come in and is just like this white dude who's now trying to like
Yeah.
rule with an iron fist. But a zero tolerance for violence policy is not the worst policy I've ever heard at a school.
Actually, I think most schools have them.
Yeah,
Actually, I think
um,
they do.
And
And
everybody
especially after you wear a giant. I don't agree with that, but I do understand. Like after what happened at the school.
yeah. I'm not saying that it's what I think is amazing, but that doesn't make him evil
Yeah.
for creating a zero violence policy.
Yeah.
And I think probably there would be less violence if they didn't think when they were violent that there were consequences. That's what consequences are for. Now I'm not sure, but the way that it happened was awful. But I can't say that I 100% disagree
That's
with
fair.
having the policy. So I felt I felt icky and evil during that part.
And you're supposed to, because you understand, like, basically in his position, because like the whole point, like he knows kind of how the community's going to look at him.
Yeah.
And so like you could go two different ways with the character. You could be like, he's the friendly guy who's always he's being fake and friendly or whatever, but really he's kind of being a dick behind the scenes. But no, he's coming straight forward. He's like, this is business. This is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
You did not help your students when they actually needed you most. And he doesn't need to acknowledge that maybe he was a good leader or a good teacher or a good molder of minds and
Yeah.
children of the future. Doesn't matter. There was a school shooting, and you didn't say anything, and you weren't
Yeah.
there. And so it's like, that's why it's like, this is an interesting character to make. We don't like him,
Yeah.
but his character makes enough sense. And for the most part, even with the drama for drama's sake,
Yeah.
it does make enough sense. But I'd be fine if it does all tone down a little bit. And also, I would like this character to go away, but his character does make sense because what would parents want more than anything right now? They want structure and they want control and they want safety for their kids.
Yeah.
And even though that may affect some of the kids in the wrong way,
Yeah.
and it could hurt them in a way with that kid being expelled, it makes sense. So I like where this character being introduced, and I like this challenge for Jefferson specifically.
You don't look at him and be like, there's no way somebody could be like that. It's pretty realistic.
Yeah.
It's reasonable too. It's
Yeah.
like we don't like it, but it's reasonable, especially for a principal that needs to run a school like that where he knows I'm already the antagonist, which is like I'm not like feeling bad for him. It's just like
No.
I understand the mentality going into that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it creates a cool conversation of like, why is he such a dick right out the gate? It's like because maybe he needs to for this specific situation.
Yeah.
I'd be
But-
interested what you guys at home think about this because, did you guys feel as icky as I did? Yeah, it was just.
Was it icky?
It was the toughest part of the episode.
Was
for me,
it
by
icky?
far.
Yeah, bowling. I started talking about bowling with them, and they were
Bowling, like sport.
There's a character in Legend of Korra named Bolin,
Oh.
and this guy, the principal, is the voice actor of that character.
Yeah. So, and he's
a
really
lot more
goofy.
likable in Korra.
Yeah. That principal is a dick, though. That's got that from
He is, he
Finyo.
is.
Yeah, for sure. But also, can you guys fill me in? I think I missed a plot point when Thunder and Black Lightning team up to go take out those bombs, which was really cool when Thunder held her breath and.
What did you think about Gamby punching that lady?
Wait, what did you miss?
What did you think
why
about that?
were they looking? What was the tip they got to go after this woman? Is this something Tobias related, or is it just?
Yeah, so
No, she was
that's
pregnant.
That's when the
Did you say
guy.
Oh wait! I wrote down the note. I love what Gamby said. He said, "Whatever that woman gave birth to ain't
Ain't
good."
ain't good. We see the guy visit Tobias when he's locked up to get permission to attack because they know they immediately, and I liked this. I liked that they immediately knew that their money was being used for the church function.
Yeah.
And so they got to go ahead and somehow, I kind of missed this too, somehow they got word. Actually, they probably leaked the word themselves so that Thunder and Lightning, or
Would
Thunder and
show
Black
up.
Lightning would show up.
That's what I gathered.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so they went for it. And
it was the guy who was like, I could make 2 calls and get you out of here, Tobias. And Tobias was like, you white people always trying to think we need help.
Which is funny coming from Tobias because he's always talking shit about black people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's part
Tobias
of the,
doesn't like anybody.
that's part of the character. Well, I get it because he's never felt like he fits in anywhere, which is
that
like
translucent
a whole
freak.
Which was
nice, interesting. You call me translucent.
yeah, you can see right through me. No, but I did want to point out I believe it's the lawyer, the prosecutor, whatever, that's helping Jefferson kind of run through the trial. That's Sally Richardson Whitfield, and she was the star of Eureka. It was a show on Sci-Fi, and she is a producer, I think executive producer now, for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, she does a lot of producing now for a lot of ABC programming, so it was cool to see her on this. I had a huge crush on her growing up, so it was really cool to see her here. Big fan. But what would we rate this episode, starting with Roxy?
I would say maybe a 7.9, like a little bit below an 8.
Yeah.
Let's say a 7.5. This was it's still really solid. Black Lightning is still one of my favorite shows, one of these shows. But I think this was, of the season so far, this was my least favorite. Mostly because I was more confused about what was going on than normal.
Especially Tobias' stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really know why they brought you in at all. And I know he was like blatantly murdering people out in the open, but I don't remember that being mentioned at all. So I don't know how he
Yeah.
got away with that part of it.
Yeah, also really bungled at Jefferson by not letting them know that you saw him kill your dad, like right then. You
But,
whiffed it.
but Gamby kind of messed it up too by covering
Yeah.
it up
But I
really
feel like
well.
there's going to be something that didn't get covered up.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
we'll see.
Also, I keep forgetting that Tobias literally made his dad eat a whole book. And
Yeah.
then he killed him.
No.
Eat the book. Anyways.
Ugh.
What would you rate it?
I'd say 7.5 as well. It's lower for
Mm.
me, but it was still a solid episode because Black Lightning they do the extra work to really tell you good stories about characters, and
Yeah.
that you still get that in this show, even though sometimes they're acting dumb and you don't like it.
Also, I like Gamby's good uncle bit. Like, hey, you can stay here, but I'm gonna have to tell you. But like, he's very candid about like, I'm gonna help you get away with stuff, but I am gonna let them know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go behind your back, but I am gonna let them know.
And he's straightforward with Jefferson too. He's like, I'm not gonna not be friends with them. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be their uncle, but
Yeah.
I did tell you. So you can still be pissed at him,
Yeah.
rightfully so. But you know what? Let's move on to Titans real quick, just for a second.
Go
was
Titans,
so
go.
excited. Oh, we're going to dive into episode 3 for. We're going to recap episode 3. Well, then I'm going to stow my excitement for just a second.
Just for a second, because we are going to talk about episode 4 as well. That's Doom Patrol. That'll be out very soon, but we got a little special screener. But first, let's talk about episode 103. And while we do that, I was going to pull up the synopsis
Episode
because
3, the first episode of Titans that made me not want to leave the show forever.
Oh, I wrote it down up there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
episode 103.
Origins.
Rachel and Corey travel to the convent where Rachel
You have
was
a hard
raised.
time with that one
Yeah,
always.
I do. While Dick compares.
See, that's why we should change it, everybody.
His own orphan experience to Rachel's. Meanwhile, Rachel befriends Gar Logan. All right, we'll go over this really quick. Befriending is loose in this episode.
Yeah,
because
they literally, and this is the one, like everybody seems to have a reason to be in Rachel's orbit, and then she just kind of runs into Beast Boy, and it's like, that feels like a stretch.
If you have an arcade experience with somebody, they are your best friend for life.
For life.
Everyone knows.
Roxy and I both got flirting vibes, which didn't bother me at the time, but then
definitely bothered me at the time.
But then I found out that not only is the actor who even though he's a young-looking boy, the actor who plays Beast Boy is about 10 years older than Raven. The actress that plays Raven is actually still just a teenager.
Oopsie.
So that's a little
Do
weird.
you guys remember, I don't know if you do, when they were looking for somebody to cast for Beast Boy, they had a very hard time.
Mm-hmm.
They could not find this guy. Like, they looked high and low. This was like a year-long search. I saw it listed like 15 times the breakdown. And so they finally found who I think is perfect for the role.
In the next episode, we get to see more of him, and I think he's really great.
And I no shade on him.
Yeah.
But if they decide to have him romantically pursue her,
They probably will.
I want them both dead. So I'm going to say I love him.
Yeah.
Both dead.
Hey, pulling a page out of your favorite show for just a second.
Gotham. I see where you're going with
Poison
this.
Ivy, she aged up and changed whole faces twice.
And actually, to be
Yes.
fair, that might resolve an issue both of you have with the show.
So what if Raven aged, like went to hell dimension, oh no, and comes back and she's like a totally different
Do we get
actress?
to cast a new actress?
Yes.
And a straight fox, just like on Gotham. It's like, hey, she still has the
Down.
brain of a 10-year-old, but she's
Oh wait, no,
fine.
no. Here's that. This is how you get over it.
Fine with that.
It was a century wherever she was, so she.
You and I both watched Angel.
Huh?
You and I both
Angel,
watched
yeah,
Angel. We know
yeah.
how that works.
They
We know how
had-
that works.
Angel had a little boy,
Yeah.
and then taken to hell. Literally seconds later, an 18-year-old pops out and is like, "Dad," and it's like, "Oh, that's how you got over not having a baby on the show."
Yeah.
Great work, Angel.
Or you just go the vampire route.
Vampire.
And they look really, really young, but they've been living for like 400 years.
Well, no, but see that in this situation, you could say they're aging down. Guards.
Benjamin Button?
So that doesn't like
Benj
like the guy playing Beast Boy's still supposed to be a teenager too.
Yeah.
So that doesn't actually solve anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, so we get that in this episode we start seeing the team come together.
Mainly Corey and Rachel together, and Dick and Corey hanging out.
Corey is by far and away the best part of this show.
Yes.
By far and away the best part of the show.
Oh, this also gets weird flashback. I'm always kind of against comic books specifically, considering how wonky timelines are on that. But comic book shows giving specific times of time passage. So they're like 15 years later, it's like, oh shit, this version of Dick Grayson has been Robin. Let's be conservative. Let's say Batman trained him for like 4 to 5 years, and he's left Batman for 4 to 5 years. That means he's at least been Robin for like 5 to 6 years, conservatively.
Long time.
And it's like, that feels like, I mean, it helps with my detective concerns. Like, how is this young
Yeah.
boy a detective? It fixes that problem, but like,
yeah.
shit, he was Robin forever.
Yeah, he's a.
It's Batman forever, actually.
No, so hey, listen, I love that movie as a kid.
Big fan of Blurry Batman. Big fan of him in the back.
I-
Also,
No, this
Is
is-
that a serious comment that you're a big fan of him?
no, this episode had some wonky stuff in it, but I did like that. I giggled every time it happened.
This is
so I like it in
This
that
is what I was
sense.
talking about. This is the shit superhero shows pull that no other fucking drama would ever try. If there's a character that's important, he's not going to leave lingering around. It's because like we don't know.
Wait, you're wrong. Because Dexter's Laboratory, you never saw the parents.
But that was a
Dexter's
joke.
Burn.
But that was
Burned.
but that was a joke. You never heard the.
You feeling burned? Because you just got burned.
You never heard the voices of the Peanuts.
Looks like he's gonna need some
parents.
aloe because he got burned.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't be
Wow.
talking to some psychiatrist, which I do like because it allowed another female voice as opposed to like whatever. But like, it just all these shows do it. The Marvel Netflix shows like tease Elektra or Bullseye or whatever. It's like, no, you. If it was just another show, you just have the fucking character.
Except for Dexter's Laboratory. And a couple first episodes of Fairly Odd Parents.
I feel you on that, but I do not want to see a Batman in episode 3 of the show. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, just because it's Dick. If you're gonna do an origin story for Dick Grayson, just go ahead and have him show up.
I don't.
You know what? We might be getting a Batman very soon because there were some rumors.
Oh
out
yeah, and that
this
were
week.
immediately debunked.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, they immediately debunked, and it's for the
Yeah.
best. So there was a big rumor last week that like Screen Rant did it. It was like a 5-page. It was like reading a crazy person's thesis on why
Well,
like JFK is still alive.
It was way more than that. Long ago, Louis Tan actually posted on his Instagram like months ago.
Yeah,
Meeting
pictures
with
at the
DC.
DC office and
Yeah.
whatever, and they said if you look at the hairline and then whatever, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Louis Tan as Batman. The only problem with it is he's only like 2 years older than Brent Blades.
Yeah.
Eh.
So
Well, Superman's been on Earth for like 90,000 years.
I'm hoping he's a part of the show, or I'm hoping I hope he's part of any DC thing. I think he's great, but I guess I'm kind of glad he's not Batman, especially since Dick. That means he was like 18 when he saved Dick Grayson from the circus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could have done without Dick Grayson's backstory in this episode.
You didn't like all of his when he was telling that therapist, he's like, "I need to kill them. I need to
didn't
kill the
mind
people."
finding out why he cares about the car, but I'm with you because listen, is there anybody on this planet that doesn't know the origin story of Dick Grayson?
I guess there. I think
My
the answer to
grandma
that is
doesn't.
yes.
Okay.
I think there's a ton of people.
Is she
who
watch?
don't.
Does she have the DC Universe app?
She actually bought it before we did.
I think there's tons of people who don't, but I don't think it was necessarily relevant.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
I didn't. It wasn't like I was sitting there thinking, why does he care about Raven?
Yeah,
Orphans.
Yeah, I got it.
they're superheroes. They're all orphans. It's
Yeah.
just a matter. You get superpowers. You keep an eye on your parents.
And Disney princesses, like
Yeah,
you,
man.
you cannot have both parents if you want to be a prince or princess or a superhero.
Frozen almost had him, and then they went down in that shit.
You know. So
I forgot about that.
and the earlier seasons of Arrow proved the value of having at least one parent around. It adds a lot of drama, actually.
It does.
But
and
you like this episode more. I think for me, 3 is of the
Because
4
Starfire.
of the
period.
episodes we've seen so far. For me, 3 is the weakest.
yeah, and I
No
thought
way.
I thought
Yeah.
the convent stuff was going to be really interesting, and then they like lock her up, and I'm like, oh,
and
this
then
could
it
be
ends up
interesting.
not mattering at all.
Yeah, because she blows her way out of there with her demon bombs, and so that it doesn't really quite matter for me.
So now I'm gonna. By the way, those watching on Patreon, can we move to episode 4?
Yeah, we'll rate this one really quick. 'Cause,
What did we rate it last week?
I
We
don't know,
did.
but what
Okay.
now? Thinking about it for a week, did our ratings change?
I think I was a
Probably.
5 last week. I'm pretty sure I'm a 5 this week.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm a 6.5.
Ouch.
I'm a
No,
6.5.
5 is really good. I gave the first ones 2.
I know, but
Yeah,
just
it shocks me
comparatively,
how compared to other shows you like how much you dislike the show. But anyway, we're not gonna go
I'd
down that
give
rabbit hole
it-
again.
Wow, it's good dead air.
No, it's called suspense. Thanks, you ruined it. It's 7.
I ruined the
The suspense could have cut it with a butter knife. It would
So,
have been amazing.
so now I'm going to do a more
What are you
concrete
spread it
intro for episode 4.
Cinnamon Raisin Bran.
He
so
said
we're-
that so we wouldn't interrupt him. Come on, Sam.
Jeez. So let's dive into episode 4 of season 1 of Titans. I'm really excited to talk about this episode.
Titled
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol.
Were you trying to do the suspense thing again?
No, a little bit.
Yeah.
But Gar brings Rachel home to his family. Quote, a group of misfit medical experiments will come to know as the Doom Patrol, including Robot Man, Negative Man, and Elastigirl.
So this is going to be completely spoiler free. I say that because I almost said a spoiler to myself. I guess it's not too much. They don't call themselves the Doom Patrol in the episode.
You get a
those
tease
words
of
are
it.
never.
You get a tease of it.
Are they? Well, then I missed it. I missed it.
I think we could say the tease without getting too bad. Someone says they were doomed until I came along, and I was like,
until
okay, there you
they
go.
were doomed patrol
Oh,
until I came along.
doomed. Someone could go on patrol. There
So
you
yeah,
go.
so we're gonna keep this spoiler free, and man, it's just crazy to me. Like, we're through the rabbit hole at this point. Live action Doom Patrol on your TV, man. Like, I wouldn't have bet money on it. I wouldn't have, like, live action Robot Man. Just wow, it's happening. It's the end times.
I don't know which
It's
one
the
of
end
them
times.
is the strangest, Robot Man, Negative Man, or Elastigirl. They're all bizarre to have on screen. I think that my biggest question to you guys about this is, after watching Doom Patrol, are you excited for a Doom Patrol series? Yes or no?
I might be the wrong person to ask because the answer is 1000% yes.
But
This-
that
Why are
was
you
the
the wrong
same
person?
probably before this too. Does that?
No, actually, it's more. It's just because this really weirdly, considering this is the 4th episode of this show, it felt like a backdoor pilot, and so there was some of that pilot wonkiness.
What do you mean it felt like a backdoor pilot? I think it was a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, but it had that feel. It had that pilot feel where it
Yeah.
had that pilot wonkiness where we're kind of introducing everything. Everybody's still kind of feeling out, especially since this show has an added layer of complication because you have actors doing not the word isn't motion capture. They're the ones in the costumes, and then you have voice
like
actors.
stand-ins.
And
yeah.
so those.
I didn't feel like they
there's
were
not
the ones in
really-
the costumes today.
They're not. I mean,
Right.
and they're not going to be. The guys that do the voice acting are
Right,
not going to be the
yeah.
ones in the costume. And so you still have to find that synergy between the physical performance and the voice acting, and they haven't quite figured it out. The Chief is a completely different actor in the show.
Good call.
Yeah, I'm excited for Timothy Dalton in the show. So
Yeah,
it's
why was that the case?
because they were able to get Timothy Dalton for the show, and so
And they just didn't get him
And
in
they had
time.
already
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and they had already filmed this a while
ago, yeah.
That
And so the
really
and
threw me off.
the voices were the easy ones to replace
Yes.
later. So
but you can still kind of tell there's still some of the. I think 2 or 3 episodes into the show itself, maybe even since they've already done the pilot. What if this is essentially the pilot? Maybe episode 1 of Doom Patrol, they'll have a little bit better rhythm for it. But I really like something I really like about this show is it's embracing the weirdness. Like we've got the nuclear family
Which
as the
show?
bad guys,
Titans? Okay.
That we've got the nuclear family as the bad guys in episode 2.
Yeah.
We've got Hawk and Dove in their full costume. Episode 4, we're gonna do Beast Boy's origin. Fuck it, here's the Doom Patrol.
yeah.
What's your answer? Yes or no?
No.
You're not excited
Well,
for
if
Doom
I have to
Patrol.
go,
Yeah,
just
between
like
yes or no.
Yeah.
no. And I was fine. I was on the fence about it before. And this is the problem I mentioned before, but I'll mention it now. It's that you have 2 characters that can't emote on screen, and like even if they make a sad voice sound, it's like that's not the same because the way we watch movies and stuff, it's because we're gonna be visually seeing some kind of emotion on someone's face. And besides Robot Man asking what things taste, sorry, there's
Yeah.
a little bit of that. I'll make sure I'm not as specific, but it's that the parts of this, it's just it's hard to connect with almost half the cast.
Mm-hmm.
So in watching this, you can tell that they added those voices in pretty last minute.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of it almost sounds like they ad-libbed a little bit and like we'll throw that in. That's pretty fun. And I'm
Yeah.
like, actually, it's not because it actually makes very little sense and doesn't add anything to anyone's character whatsoever. The person that was so interesting to me that would make me want to watch the show is Elastigirl. I thought
too.
like
I thought she was
because
amazing.
because when it comes to like weirdness, yeah, Robot Man looks weird, Negative Man, I'm not really sure what's going on exactly, but Elastigirl actually seems the weird terrifying that would make me like interested. Kind of like when you see an ad for American Horror Story and you
Yeah.
see like who's Leather, the Gimp guy, like floating around in the Red Room, and you're like, what does that mean? It's like actually nothing when you watch the show, but it's like
Yes.
in this, her whole deal, super big question. I thought when you hear Elastigirl, what do you think of Incredibles? And I'm like, oh, she must be the same. No.
She seemed like she wasn't of this time,
No,
and it was
and I love
really
that.
interesting to
Well,
watch.
and there's reasons for that, but we
Yeah.
don't spoilers.
Yeah.
What I had the biggest issue with was that this was way too soon to do anything about Doom Patrol. We are 4 episodes into a brand new show, and we have a entire episode focused on a different show. I'm just starting to maybe possibly get on board with Titans, and you're gonna now introduce me to 4 new characters and leave our other characters somewhat in the dust for an episode when I've barely seen them. I don't understand the logic behind this at all. It kind of remind me of what DC's issue with the movies have been, which is rushing to the punchline. We did not build up to a Justice League movie, although I like Justice League more than most people did. We didn't build up to it. We did not build up to Doom Patrol. We just didn't. And so that was like so jarring.
And
to
I
me.
think for me, it's refreshing because I think the idea of building up to stuff, I feel like Marvel in particular emphasizes it too much. It's like, no, we can't have Bullseye in season 1. We need to have 2 full seasons of Daredevil before Bullseye shows up. It's like, or sometimes you can just do the thing. You can just go for it. You can just have like,
you
listen,
could, but I don't even know who these characters are.
Doom Patrol is part of Beast Boy's backstory, so just have them. Like, and so for me, I like that we're just let's just go for it. Let's not mess around. Let's just dive right in and be willing to go. Like, they've traveled across the country at this point. Like, one of the problems with a lot of the Netflix shows, it's like the same 3 sets every episode. Like, in this, at least this show's switching stuff up and they're moving forward. So for me, I was into it.
We did a whole episode about Hawk and Dove, though.
Yeah.
And now we did a whole episode about Doom Patrol.
You're saying that like it's bad things, and
Definitely.
for me, it's great.
Well, here's a way you could have done this in a way, this specific episode, because you could have the Doom Patrol on the show,
Yeah.
but a way that could have at least propelled the plot of this show, which isn't Doom Patrol
No.
at all. Maybe they'll come back. Who knows? Like, no one, like, that's not important. This is more just trying to get Beast Boy to get with the rest of the cast. Is if you show what his storyline is with this story, what Rachel, how Beast Boy, and how like Rachel and them are talking and whatever, and then you have your Starfire and Dick, and they actually get together about halfway through this episode, and then from there we start moving forward with Rachel's plot. We kind of keep going forward with that.
One thing
and
I do like about this is that it does move forward. Rachel, not to go into spoilers, but I like the progress. I'm finally starting to become interested in Rachel. They progress her in a way that I think is compelling.
I think the actress is getting better.
She's getting better,
which I was really happy to see.
But some of the effects for her specifically are better. But for me, it's that you could have had flashbacks with the Doom Patrol still here, and it'd been like, oh, he comes from like a misfit, like, this is actually how he could relate with Dick, because he's kind of coming from a circus of freaks a little bit. Like, he's coming from people that, like, they are all the outcasts, and Dick should be able to interact with them.
We could have had Beast Boy team up with it and have him run into his, like, he just runs away, and then maybe the family goes to find him and they show up later. We could have done, I totally get it. I'm just saying, for me, totally into it.
There you go.
Yeah, for me, totally into it.
Yeah, and I think I'm they're gonna watch the Doom Patrol show just to see what they do.
Yeah.
Because when you say Brendan Fraser and Matt Bomer and Timothy Dalton, and I'm blanking on the actress who plays Elastigirl, but actually she was my favorite part.
She did a really good
too.
job.
What's her name?
I also like.
She's been in like other stuff too. She's popped up places. Her story just seems so immediately compelling. Like,
and
we're
also in the show we're going to get Crazy Jane, so which adds more characters that aren't behind. I do think there is a level of difficulty with that show. Again, for me, I think it's less about these people not being able to emote and more about finding a way that they can emote by having the actors in the costume kind of knowing the performer that's going to do the voice, and the voice actors kind of knowing what it's going to look like on camera, and there's a synergy there that I think will help, that hopefully once we get into the show, they kind of find that rhythm.
Her name is April Bowley.
Bowlby
plays Elastigirl.
Yes.
Does a really good job on this. Also very pretty.
I think a way that like Robot Man and Negative Man usually get around it in like comics is that you're able to animate the eyes, kind of like how Spider-Man MCU. What does he have now? He has like the lenses that close and open.
Yeah.
We found a reason to explain that, so now that when he's in the suit, he can think, he can squint, or if he's surprised, he can open his eyes. For them, it's nothing. It's flat. There might be, we'll say this, when you watch Negative Man, there might be a part of his costume that moves.
I think he has a little mouth hole that
it looks like a little beak.
I didn't know it was going to happen based on the pictures, based on the still images. It doesn't look like, unless the actor needs that to breathe, you can just take that out.
You can nix it.
Yeah, but I think they'll find the rhythm. And again, as a fan, it's just cool to see these characters on screen. It's cool that we finally are, again, no spoilers. Our team of characters are coming together, and kind of, I don't know about you guys. After this, it's like, I don't know. I knew this was coming. This had been reported for a while. I don't know where the rest of this season's going to go.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have legitimately no idea. And with the nuclear family, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. But it's interesting because you just said, as a fan, and in the chat from Danny M, who says, I don't feel like a build-up was necessary, but I can see why mainstream audiences would need it. I think I would consider myself a pretty big fan, not a mainstream audience person. And I do think people probably from mainstream would need it more because they literally don't know who these characters are. Like, they're meeting brand new characters, and at least I have enough to fill in. And it has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with the fact that I have not fallen in love with the show yet.
Yeah.
And now you're pitching me another show, and I like that show better. I liked the thought of Doom Patrol better.
So you asked us that question. You're
yeah,
excited
for
Cool.
sure.
After
Also,
this.
I've
After
got to
this,
be
yeah.
honest
After
with you.
this.
So we know we're 3 episodes in. We know they curse on this show. Sounded way more natural coming from the Doom Patrol cast.
Yeah,
it
we
sounded
just-
like, oh yeah, these are characters that cuss. Yeah, that's I'm fine with
And
that.
they deserve it.
Yeah.
They should be allowed to.
Yeah, they really are. They've been, in the comics, they kind of talk about like, did the chief help them by saving them? And then watching the show, you're like, yeah, I kind of don't think he did.
Yeah.
I kind of think they might have been better off if the chief never found them.
But maybe not. We don't know.
The-
Spoiler free.
We wouldn't have a show without it.
I will say 50% of the cursing from the Doom Patrol made sense. There was one where it was like, there's something happening in the back, like, and that kind of happened a couple times.
Spoilers about this.
Yeah,
Oh, this is
so-
a big episode too. So
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
So, what would we rate this episode?
lower for me, just because there's a lot of problems that I think the Doom Patrol show's going to answer before Titans answers. And you bring up a good point. Where in the hell do they go from here? Like, this is episode 4, and there's 13.
There's 10.
There's
There's
10.
10.
Oh no,
There's
that's even
10.
less.
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite one so far.
I don't
Yeah.
know where they go.
Because I want a Doom Patrol show, so I think I'd give it a 6.
Yeah. I'd give it a.
It keeps going up.
I'd give it a 7.5.
love Beast Boy.
I'm tired of superhero shows like waiting around for stuff. So I'm glad that we're going in. I'm glad this is a show that embraces the weird. And it's just cool seeing these characters on live action.
I'd give it a 6 as well, because I want to get back to the Titans, because I'm starting to like them.
Yeah.
And the Doom Patrol can be cool. It's that I wish we just kind of stayed more with the Titans. in this
Also, I
episode.
gotta say, this is the most time we've gotten to spend with Beast Boy. Big fan.
Big fan.
Big
too.
fan.
Big fan of Beast
As
Boy.
long as he
yeah.
doesn't make the moves on Rachel.
As long as he doesn't make the moves on Rachel, big fan.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's their thing in the comics, right?
It can be, and it was also a thing in the Teen Titans cartoon.
If they don't go that way, kill them both.
Yeah, we also got some more time with Robin and Starfire, and I like their dynamic so far.
Hey, actually, what was really interesting is I was getting some flirty vibes there.
Yes, which as a fan,
Yeah.
that's what we want.
Yeah, I was getting some flirty vibes there, but I thought that was pretty soon after we got the flirty vibes last week with Hawk and Dove episode.
No.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
pretty flirty for us to have just seen flirty.
Dick gets around. What can I say?
Round,
You know?
round, get around,
And
dick
That's what you
gets
guys-
around,
So
he
we'd
gets
like to
around,
know
round.
either in the chat here or in the comments down below.
The Discord.
What you guys thought of this episode when you see it. Please check it out. Let us know what you think. Whether you're excited about the Doom Patrol series. For the people that are watching this later, you could have watched this live on patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. We record on Thursdays. First half of the show is on twitch.tv/playnoggin.
4
Second half of the
p.m.
show is behind patreon.com/onlystupidanswers.
5 p.m.
And check out more videos on our YouTube channel. Sam will probably put up stuff around here that you can click on. You can go to
Maybe it's around here. You don't
you
know.
never know. So you can go to onlystupidanswers.com for more. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash.
Sam. Bashur. Everywhere that matters.
At Roxy Stryer.
Everywhere that matters.
Oh,
Usually?
and some places that don't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who's to say?
I like that pitch. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the full edited version of these. DJ does good work with that, so you better tell him, damn it. You better tell him.
Again, that's patreon.com/onlystupidanswers if you want that. If you want the full show, come join our Patreon because we have a nice little community over there. It's a lot
Little
of fun.
kisses.
Little kisses.
You know what? They're called the
Little
Lee
kisses, Sam.
kisses.
That's how
That's
we
a
get
big
'em.
wet grandma kiss right on your cheek, or a little too close to your lips. You're like,
Yeah.
Grandma, stop it. Anyways, we'll see you guys next time. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.